Hey guys, and welcome to the tutorial series for the Animal Behavior Kit. In this video, we'll be taking a look at the AI Director. We're going to be covering the AI Director itself, some of its general settings, then we're going to add some ground animals, we're going to then look at how to add flying animals, and then swimming animals. And if I go ahead and jump into Unreal, if you've been following the video tutorial series in order, in the last video we set up our birds, our fish, and our ground animals to follow the day-night cycle. And we had them all go into their home bases. And you had the sky full of birds and a bunch of fish here. So in the interest of time, before I started this video, I actually just went ahead and deleted all of the birds except one. You can see here, if I go to the folder, there is just one lonely bird here. And they did the same thing for the fish. And this bird, I made sure that it did not have the component for the day-night cycle. It is going to be just doing a solo flight. And the same thing for the fish. I made sure that there was only one fish. This little guy right here. Zoom in a little bit more. And this guy, again, I made sure that it does not have the day-night cycle component and is only doing solo swimming. That way we get a scene that's clean and we can actually just focus on the AI Director. So what is the AI Director? And let me just try to describe it here in a few seconds and then we'll get to it. So the AI Director is a blueprint that allows you to take control of the AI, be it ground, flying, or swimming animals, and direct them to go to a specific target location or to change their behavior in a certain way. And this all happens either when the player triggers, overlaps a trigger, or when it does another condition. Which is, eliminate actors with a certain tag. And the purpose for this is either to create a cutscene. If you wanted to create a specific cutscene in your game and you wanted to use your in-game camera, like sequencer, you could do it that way. Or if you wanted to show the player something, right? And I've seen this a ton in games. When a new area is revealed, the player is walking in and it has a nice little vista, for example, for a new area. Maybe at that point you do want a flock of birds, for example, to fly over the horizon to really give the player that nice look. Or maybe you want, the first time the player swims in a lake, you want a huge school of fish to kind of swarm around them or something like that, right? It's meant to be a one-time event that is used to enhance the experience in the game, right? So that's kind of the main idea. And I think as soon as we start working with it, I think you'll see exactly what I mean. So let's go ahead and just start doing that. So if we go to the main folder, Animal Behavior Kit, go to Blueprints, click on AI, and there's going to be a folder called AI Director. So right click there and we have two blueprints. The main blueprint, which is the AI Director, and then a target location blueprint. So go ahead and drag the AI Director. We're going to put it right here, kind of in front of our animals here. And you can see that it's just kind of a trigger, right? So to make our lives easier, why don't we go ahead and grab this little platform here and drag it to this location. And this is just for our own purposes, right? Just for our convenience. So we know that when we come to this platform, we are actually hitting the trigger for the AI Director. And let's make this trigger bigger to cover the entire platform. And you can go here under the components and click on trigger. And now we go to the scale and let's make this, I don't know, 15 maybe. Yep, I think 15 and 15. And then the Z, let's make it 5. And then we can kind of drag this to the middle here. Yep. All right. I think, there you go. I think that's pretty much, yeah, I think that's covering the entire platform. So when we hit play, you're obviously not going to see this, but as soon as we enter this platform, we know that we'll be triggering the AI Director. And the AI Director can actually direct all kinds of animals. So if I have the AI director selected here, I'm gonna put this up here, and we go under, we go under setup, we notice a few things here. So we have two different activation modes. We have active and we have use tag. Active means that as soon as you overlap the trigger, the AI director will fire off and start directing the animals. And use tag, which we'll be looking at towards the end of the video, looks for a specific tag, and it will only make the trigger active when it cannot find the tag. And the use case for that is, say that you wanted to trigger an event that only happens when, let's say, the player kills X amount of animals, for example, in the level. So we'll set up that exact scenario. So right now we're going to keep it simple, keep it in active. Then you have the option to have this activate only once, or if you wanted to activate multiple times. I would say 9 times out of 10, you want the event to be a one-time thing only, so you want to keep that clicked on. But if you want the AI director to keep commanding the animals every time you kind of come up here, you can deselect this. The look for tag is going to be used with the other mode. We're going to leave it there. And the default behavior delay is in seconds. This basically means that the AI director will command the animals, in this example, to go to a specific location, and then it'll wait for 2 seconds, and then it'll quote unquote release the animals and give them the default behavior, just to kind of let them go throughout the rest of the game. So we have 3 different sections under setup. We have ground animals, flying animals, and swimming animals. The ground animals have a few more options, but the idea is going to be the same. If you expand the flying animals, you're going to see a few things, and the same thing for the flying animals here. Sorry, the swimming animals. So we're going to start with the ground animals. And what we want to do first is we want to make sure that as soon as we hit this trigger, these animals here go to a target location. So you have this blueprint here, AI target location. Go ahead and grab it and put it anywhere in your level. I'm going to just put it here to the side. And it's going to be pretty obvious. The animals are going to be here. As soon as I hit the trigger, I want to tell these animals to go to this target here. So go back to the AI director, go to the ground animals, and we're going to click on the plus here twice for ground animals. It's an array. You can add as many animals as you want. And you're going to select the animals. Remember, you can always click on the drop down and select them this way, or you can use the little eyedropper tool here. And I would recommend probably doing it this way because realistically in your level you may have hundreds of animals, right? And you probably want to make sure that you select the right animal, and it's probably easier to do it this way. Then we have the director mode, move to target or activate behavior. We're gonna leave it to move to target now for simplicity. Excuse me. And we're gonna select the ground target here. And we only have one target in the level. So if you click here, you can just select it from the menu there. Then we have the option of hide ground animals. We're gonna keep it deselected here. We're gonna see what that means in a second. And then we are going to now specify the roam and the engage behaviors for these animals when they are released. So I want them to have the roam behavior of random location in nav mesh, and I want them to have the engage behavior of flee when they reach their destination. You can select any behavior you want. These are the exact same options that you would get from the animal itself. And then you can select the options here just the same as with the animal. Okay. Excuse me. And lastly, we're going to select the animals, and we're going to make sure that they are, as a roaming behavior, we're going to make sure that they are stay in place. So they're right there, and engaged behavior will be ignore. So they're not actually engaged as soon as they see us, right? So if we just leave it at that and I hit play, you can see that the animals are literally just standing there, right? Nothing's happening. And if you recall, we have our target in this little area here. So as soon as I step on the platform, notice that the animals are going to run to the target location. They're going to wait for 2 seconds and they're going to be released. And you know that they were released because now they're roaming around. And if I get close, notice that they are engaged. They have the red text and they are fleeing. So you can see here. All right, simple enough, right? We can go back to the AI director here, and we can look at hide ground animals. So we're going to select this option here and see what happens. If we click on play, notice that the animals are hidden now. Not only are they hidden, but the collision on the animal has also been disabled. So they're actually here in the level, but for all intents and purposes, they're no longer active, right? So you can't really see them. But what happens as soon as I hit this trigger, the animals appear, collision is enabled, and now they move to their target, wait for 2 seconds, and then are now roaming around. Again, if you wanted to have a specific encounter, maybe you wanted to hide your animals in specific places, you don't want the player to see them until it triggers that event, you can do it that way as well. The other option for the director mode here is you can change it, and instead of saying, you know what, instead of moving to a target location, I just want you to activate the behavior that I have here. So this is even simpler, right? This is basically saying you may want an animal that is kind of waiting there idly, and then once the player triggers the event, you want the AI to then get this behavior. So let's go ahead and change this behavior to attack, for example, right? So the animal is going to kind of be idle, and then maybe when you get here, you trigger a cutscene or an event, maybe even a boss battle or whatever, the animals will then become aggressive and will attack the player, right? We're changing the director mode to activate behavior. And we can click on play here. Nothing happens, they're hiding. As soon as I do this, they are now engaged and they come at me and start attacking me. And you can see that they're doing damage. Simple enough, right? Let's go back and change it to move to target location now. And we can do the exact same thing for flying animals, for example. So let's go ahead and duplicate this target location and click on Alt and drag. And we are going to duplicate this. And we're going to do this. We're going to put the target behind us. We're going to put it right here, for example. And let's see. We are going to grab our little bird, our lonely bird here, and we are going to move it a little bit closer just for the sake of demonstration here. We're going to put it down here, for example, and it's going to be basically here. What I'm trying to do is I want the birds to appear when you hit this trigger and fly past you. Again, trying to create a dramatic scene, right? So you can grab this bird here and maybe even put him behind a tree or something, and we're going to duplicate the bird. We're going to have maybe 3, and we're gonna move this guy back here, move this guy back here. And now we're going to go to the AI director. We're going to minimize ground, and we're going to flying animals. We're going to click on the plus sign 3 times. And we're going to select all the animals. So flying animal 1 or nothing, 2 and 3. And we are going to specify a flying target solo because they're flying solo. They're not in a group right now. And we're going to select target location 2, which is behind us. And lastly, we want to hide the animals when they're there. So when we click on play, nothing happens yet again. I'm going to maximize. Remember, we still have the deer. So as soon as I hit the trigger, the deer will go to their target, which is on the left, and the birds will actually fly past us to the target behind. There you go. There's 1. There's 2. Whoops. And there's hold on, guys. Let me change them from aggressive. I forgot to do that. I want them to be engaged as flee. And the birds, we don't want them flying around. We actually want them to be inactive. All right, and now we hit play. And now you see that the birds are activated automatically and passed flying from us. Hit the target, and after that, wait for 2 seconds, and then they go and start flying within the bounds normally. And the deer did not attack us this time. They went to their target, and they now are roaming around normally. All right. So let's go back to the deer, and we want them to roam around randomly and flee. And for the birds, we only have these 3 guys. Let's make it even more dramatic. So grab this guy. We're going to duplicate him here. And another one. And another one. So add 3 more. And again, I wanna show you guys the point. I'm gonna grab some of the birds and make them a little taller. And we're gonna move this guy here. The idea here is I want to show you how you can create such a scene with the AI director. So click on the AI director, and we're gonna add 3 more, 4, 5, and 6. And remember, you want all of the birds to be inactive, so they're kind of waiting for the AI director to activate them. When you have them inactive, it's basically the equivalent of having these guys stay in place as their default behavior. Okay, and now we hit play. Imagine we're entering a new area, nothing's happening, and as soon as you hit that trigger, you got a bunch of birds that are now flying past you. And as soon as they hit their mark, they pick a random location and they just fly away. And if we keep on playing, by the way, these birds will behave exactly the same as any other bird. They're just going to continue flying. You can even have other systems active, like their home base and whatnot. So this is just a temporary taking, they're taking control of the bird temporarily just to have that event, and then they go around and just fly within the volume. Same thing with the deer. As you can see, they're just roaming around there. Nothing's happening. They're just kind of walking around the scene. And the exact same thing can happen for the fish. So for the fish, we're going to do something a little different. We're going to duplicate the AI director here. So go ahead and drag and duplicate. And we're going to take this guy underwater because we actually want to see what happens. Actually, you know what? Let's do something a little more fun. Let's delete this. Let's grab the AI director here, and we're going to duplicate him. That's fine. And we're going to grab and we're going to put him right here in this area here. And let's duplicate this cylinder, this little platform. I'm going to put him right here. All right. Okay. And I'm not gonna take too much time here, but the idea here is I want to show you what's possible here. Okay, so this is another AI director. In this case, I'm going to delete flying animals and ground animals. I'm gonna go ahead and delete all that. We are only interested in the swimming animals. So we are going to grab another fish, or actually we're just gonna use this one fish here. And we are going to have this guy go from one side of the lake to another side of the lake. I'm going to turn him around here, 90 degrees. And what we're going to do is we want this guy to be huge. Again, just for fun. So if you look at the scale, min and max scale, let's make this guy, I don't know, 10 to 12 maybe. And let's see if we just click play here. Let's see how big this guy is as soon as we hit play. Okay, massive. Maybe too big actually. All right, so maybe not that big. Let's make this guy like an 8 and an 8. Let's put him a little bit lower here. All right, and what we're gonna do is we are going to grab our new target, and we're going to have the target be right here, very close to the surface of the water. Okay? All right, this is going to be the target right here. So what's going to happen is as soon as you hit this trigger, the AI director will tell this fish to move to this location and then fly and then swim around. So let's go ahead and click on the AI director. Under swimming animals, click on the plus sign. Select our only swimming animal, which is this guy. We're going to select our target. Same options. Swim target solo is going to be target location 3. And we actually want to hide the animal. We also want to make sure that when we select the fish, the swimming animal, we disable the animal. So on the active, we disable active. That way it's definitely going to be staying in that area in waiting. And we have the min and max scale at 8. So it's going to be really big. So if I click play here, nothing happens. And actually, I can even go underwater and absolutely nothing happens, right? So let's see now, if I hit the trigger, what happens here? You can see now that we have this massive animal that we're seeing the silhouette here, and it's swimming towards the target. And as soon as it hit the target, then it will just swim around normally. So if we wanted to make it more dramatic, we can actually grab this target and move it a little bit higher here and click on play. And now, because the target's a little bit higher, it'll force the fish to go a little bit higher in the surface. And you can see that we even see some of the top part of the fish. So obviously, this is just a bit silly, right? But you can play around with it. And the whole point is that I want you to get an idea of what's actually possible. So you can see this fish is way, way, way too big to be swimming inside the this little lake here. But you get the idea. You can have like a massive fish or a shark or a whale specifically swim by the player only when the trigger is activated. All right, simple enough. So let's go back here and notice that you also have the ability to add a school manager or a group manager here, and then you can have your own target for the school, right? The group. And the same here for flying animals. You can have a flock manager or a group manager and a target for the flock independently of the individual solo animals, right? So I'm not going to demonstrate it now, again, for time purposes, but it's going to be the exact same. If you want to create a group or a flock of birds and you want that flock of birds to actually go to a target, you would set it up in the exact same way. You would drag your Boyd manager, you would assign all of the birds that are part of that group, and then you would reference that Boyd manager here, and then you would give them a target here. And the exact same thing that happened with this with the solo birds will happen with the entire group. And the same thing happens again with the swimming animals here. You will have the exact same options for the school manager and the school target manager. All right, so the last thing I wanted to show you guys is the other mode here, director mode, and it's going to be, oops, not here. The activation mode is going to be use tag. So what we're going to do here is we are going to grab this guy and let's make this guy really big. So if we come to, let's see, let's just increase the scale. Let's just make it easy. Let's make it like 5 by 5 by 5. Wow, that's really big. Let's just make, maybe 5 is way too much, but let's just make this guy a boss, right? So you have like this giant animal that's going to be a boss, and this guy will only appear if a series of NPCs or other NPCs are killed first. So we're gonna keep this guy, now that we changed the scale, we're gonna keep this guy stay in place and ignore. And then we're going to grab the dough and we're going to duplicate the dough. Actually, before we do that, sorry about that. Let's grab the dough here. Let's make sure that it stay in place and ignore, just to make our lives easier. Under search, go ahead and type tag and go all the way down into the actor tags. And you can add a new tag here. Actually, let's do it in a better way, done a proper way. Go to setup, general, and at the bottom here, you have an option to add an additional tag to the animal. You see here, additional tags. So click on the plus sign here, and we're going to add a tag called ABK kill. It can be literally anything. And with that said, now we're going to duplicate this guy, and we're going to have 3 of these guys here. And notice now that we select, if we select the dough and we search for tag, we have now the tag ABK kill as part of the actor tag list, right? Now we go to the AI director and we say, actually, we want to use the tag ABK kill. And when the tag is no longer found, you will activate the trigger, which is then going to show us the boss. So for ground animals, we only want the buck. We're going to delete the dough. So click on the little arrow here, click on delete. We only have this box referenced, and in this case, we don't want this guy to go to a location. We just want to activate him. So click on activate behavior, and the behavior will be attack. And for roam behavior, we still want him to stay in place. So again, the setup is very simple. Activation mode, use tag, enter the tag here under look for tag. It's going to be a specific tag, and it can be anywhere in the level, by the way. It doesn't have to be animals, could be anything. Any actor can hold these tags. Then you're going to select the animal, in this case only one, the buck, which is going to be our little boss character, which is why I made him so big. And instead of having this guy move to a location, I want him to activate behavior. And the behavior that I want him to activate will be to still stay in place, but attack as soon as he sees the player. And I want to hide the ground animal here so it catches the player by surprise. And lastly, in the activate once, I want to make sure that I disable this, because it will only do the check for the tag when you hit the trigger, right? So if you haven't killed all of the animals and you step on this platform, it'll check, it'll see that the tags still exist. It will do nothing. And then if you try to do it again later, if you have this selected, it will not do it again. So you want to make sure that you deactivate this, and every time you step on the platform, it'll actually do the check. So now we hit play. You can see that the guy is hidden. I step on the platform, nothing happens. And now I'm going to kill the doughs, and these guys have that tag. So 1, 2, and I step on the platform again, nothing's happening, right? Because we still have one more actor in the world with that tag. We kill the third dough, and remember, we have to wait for the dough to despawn, because the actor, even though it's technically dead, the actor still exists in the world, right? So we have to wait for it to despawn. And now I've killed all of the NPCs that I needed to kill, special NPCs or whatever. And now that I have done that, when I step here, we get this massive buck that has now been activated and is following us like crazy, attacking us. So this is and of course the animation looks like crap because it's not meant to be scaled up like that. but you get the idea, right? This is meant to be a way to kind of maybe set up a specific encounter, like a boss encounter, where if you go to the place, like a cave, the special NPC doesn't appear, right? Doesn't spawn. Only when you meet certain conditions will the NPC appear. Again, you see things like that in MMOs a lot, right? I think even World of Warcraft had a couple of quests like that, where if you do certain things, if you kill certain NPCs, then you go to a certain area, then a new rare NPC will spawn. So this is one way that you can do that. The NPC will be in your world, but it will be disabled and hidden. And then once you kill all of the mobs that have that tag, then the NPC will actually spawn. All right. I think that's pretty much it. If I go back to our PowerPoint, we looked at the general settings for the AI director. I kind of explained what it is. We set up the ground animals to go to a specific target and also to activate. We looked at how to do that for birds, and we made sure that we had the birds kind of fly past us when we hit the trigger. We did it for swimming animals. We created a giant fish that was hidden, and as soon as we activated it with the AI director, the fish went from one side to the other to a target inside the water. And that is the general idea. And finally, which I don't have here, we use the tag system to create a mini encounter or simulate spawning a special mob or NPC when you kill other animals in your level. So that's the AI director in a nutshell. I know I went a little bit fast here. Again, I'm trying to keep these videos short. Please take a look at everything and try it out for yourself. If you have any questions, like always, you can email me directly at cookiegamestudios@gmail.com. You can leave a message or a comment under this video, or you can message me via Discord as well. So thank you guys so much, and I will see you in the next video.